Okay, so today we're going to be exploring question 7 of the Module 4, Lesson 6 and 7 textbook assignment. Let's get started with question 7. Determine the amplitude of each function, then use the language of transformations to describe how each graph is related to the graph of y equals sine x. Here we have our 4 functions, and we have to determine their transformations and explain in the language transformations. Before we get started on the questions, there's 2 things we should always know. The amplitude is the absolute value of A. So the absolute value. And the coefficient, and is the coefficient in front of sine. Right here, so A is going to be right here. And our second thing that we need to know is a negative coefficient reflects the graph over the x-axis in terms of amplitude. Now let's get started with y equals 3 sine x. The amplitude is going to be the absolute value of 3, and this is going to be equal to 3. So we could say that this function has a vertical stretch by a factor of 3 about the x-axis. That's it for A. Moving on to B here, the amplitude is the absolute value of -5, and this is going to equal to 5. So we can say that this has a vertical stretch by a factor of 5 about the x-axis. This will also have a vertical reflection over the x-axis. And that's it for B. Now moving on to C, the amplitude is going to be the absolute value of 0.15, and this is just equal to 0.15. So we can say this has a vertical stretch by a factor of 0.15 about the x-axis. And lastly, for D, our amplitude is going to be the absolute value of -2/3. And this is going to equal 2/3. And this also has a negative sign, so we're going to say it has a vertical stretch by a factor of 2/3 about the x-axis. And a vertical reflection over the x-axis. And that's going to be it for the lesson. This is just a very basic formula of the function, I guess. And from here you take this and you determine the amplitude, and a negative coefficient means a reflection, but amplitude is going to be the absolute value of the coefficient. And that concludes this lesson.